All right, here we go. If it's not something, it's nothing. Islam to all the Moors. Yeah, we'll be pushing a late one today. So get ready to do the teleport to the next show, to the next class. Right after this, we have to teleport straight, no in between today, right? We wanted to start off with Noble Drew Ali and his writings so that people could be familiar with what he put on the public record for the world to know. Whoever wants to read his newspaper called the Moorish Guide at that time, hey, pick up a copy, make a subscription, whatever, but don't say that you weren't told. Right? Internally, as far as the Moorish movement is concerned, there was also things that were laid down that were supposed to be for the people at the top to take the information and transfer the message to the quote-unquote members that we would say /citizens /nationals /emissaries /consuls /ambassadors, right? Things that Noble Drew Ali presented was for anybody who has quote-unquote race pride. So if you have pride in who you are, you should consider what Noble Drew Ali presented to you. If you think that your condition sucks and it could probably be a little bit better, even a little bit better than what it is right now, probably listen to what Noble Drew Ali said and stop listening to what people say about him to keep you from going to him for the salvation. So this is to the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, if we look at this from a opposed to civilly dead perspective, right? If we look at this from a in full life perspective, the Moorish Science Temple of America is the nation. And every single Moorish Science Temple of America in whatever jurisdiction is a consulate or a regency for these individuals called Moorish Americans. And why was it set up like that? Because by the time Noble Drew Ali died, democracy already had their claws in the back of the Negro, black, colored, and riding them to high heaven. Because they're the reason. The people classified as Negro, black, colored people are the reason why you're complaining about racism. Why people are complaining about discrimination is because of Negro, black, colored people. Conscious black people. Why? Because that's the lifeline of the B system. A dead status. So in a full life status, you are equal to every other individual that is in full life status. And Noble Drew Ali brought that perspective back to the front of our mind so we can be what we know if we say we know thyself. If we say we know thyself, then you better be able to stand up in front of the beast and beat a ticket if you know yourself, because yourself shouldn't get a ticket. Common sense will tell you that, he didn't have to give you that. In full life versus civilly dead. And Noble Drew Ali recognized and identified what was civilly dead. Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian. Those are slave brands. Those are slave brands. That's just what it is. Don't make up anything. Don't capitalize B's and N's in Negro and B in black to make that a noun. Those are adjectives. They're descriptive brands. And once you adopt the brand as an identity, now you're civilly dead. And you did it. White man didn't do that. So all this stuff Noble Drew Ali came to clear up, which is why right now is a peak time. Because Noble Drew Ali himself said that in the year 2000, the Moors will come into their own. 2000 from 1929, right? Now, remember that the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, is not some religious guy. It's not some black man doesn't know what he's doing, just decided to say we're Moors. No, this is ancestral. If we say that we honor the ancestors, and then because of the ancestors we honor all these individuals, but then we're not talking about Noble Drew Ali, the ancestors are the ones that are setting up this judgment that you're getting. Don't worry about the puppets. Worry about the puppet master. And the puppet master of the puppets, all the puppets, is the Most High. Whatever you want to call him, that's your business. I don't care personally. You have right to religion in this great republic. So what Noble Drew Ali put down for the Moors, which is everybody, even the people who are classified as Negro, black, colored people and don't even know what Moor is, or Moor Science Temple or Noble Drew Ali. Because everybody who's dark skinned, everybody who's dark skinned is Moor. To the members of the Moor Science Temple of America, Islam, these are the instructions from your Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you would be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. You know, that's not spooky. That's universal law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And don't get mad when you do unto others how you don't want to be treated, but then you get judgment for that. Because Noble Drew Ali laid it down. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The judgment is on right now, but the weak, they don't even know what's going on. They're too busy trying to know thyself. That if you didn't take advantage of that moon that just passed in whatever way, shape, or form, like that was a big vortex for you to do manifest anything that you will. But if you missed it because you're just not into that, then how many or thousands of years before that happens again, or hundreds of years or whatever, you could try again. Do we comprehend it not? Why is we not comprehended? Because they're civilly dead. And they don't even have the capacity to think, much less comprehend that judgment and wrath is going on right now. The end of time is drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not for what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Your movement and your prophet. Not Kudro's movement. Yours. Not Grand Sheik, Grand Governor's stuff. Yours. If it was the Grand Sheiks and those people's stuff, he would have said right here, the Grand Sheiks and whoever. Because he already saw the sellout coming. This is March 1929. He already knows what's up. He's putting things in place so you can inherit your birthright. And 2015, people don't know about their birthright. Why? Because same people who's been hiding this information to let you know what Noble Drew Ali brought you, told you that this is your movement and your prophet. This is yours. What are you waiting for Grand Sheik to give you something to do something? This is your stuff. Oh, but nah, don't listen to Kudro. Right? Telling you that priesthood is dead. All these posts of whatever. In the Moorish movement, when they have the red book in the Moorish Science Temple of America that tells people the priesthood is dead. Every single level of priest is dead. There's no priest. Allah, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call the higher force, is dealing directly with the people now. No middlemen. But people don't want that to push a God aside, and then they're going to go look for some guy to tell them who they are. And they get mad when it doesn't work, or they get charged 18 million for some paper or some cards or something. It's yours. Your movement and your prophet. You really waiting for these Grand Sheiks to start up a school for you to take your Moorish children to? You stay there waiting. 100 years is gone. And there's no school. The additional laws in the back of the 101s that all these Grand Sheiks, whatever, say that school is written in there, but there's no schools. And if there are schools, they're on such a minimal capacity that you can't even consider that school. And why? Because the people, knowing that the leadership killed Noble Drew Ali, they're still following leadership. If you want to see some salvation, some happiness, like Marcus Garvey said, the only way that the Negro is going to be happy is if he has a nationality. The only way that we'll be happy if we exercise our birthright under the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, so that there's no beef, there's no tension, there's no stab in the back, two-faced, none of that. If once we deal with the 5 principles, ain't none of that. Ain't no room for that. In love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, none of that stuff could stand. It can't even enter. And I know, because that's how we exercise. That's why there's Moors in Switzerland right now. That's why. Because they found Kudro. There's Moors waking up. Because Kudro didn't sell them anything. Kudro directed them where they're supposed to go, get what they're supposed to get to help them solve their problem. For free. We want nothing. And then there's other Moors that taught me that. And that's the level of Moors that people need to be around. Moors who are active. Not Moors who are sitting down talking about put Ellen Bay on a license. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest. And the one that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Black, Negro, colored, African, Canadian, African American, any one of these labels, any one of these labels, any one of these labels used as an identity classifies you as civilly dead. Okay? Everybody's arguing, oh yeah, once again, I want to say Islam taught the active Moors, because without active Moors, there wouldn't be all this talk about Moors all of a sudden. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about Moors. Everybody. Kemetic guys talking about Moors. Hebrews is talking about Moors. Black Power people talking about Moors. So since we're talking about Moors, let's break down really what black according to science means death. Because death comes in, different, depends on perspective, right? Somebody doing time, that could be death to them. Somebody, got their hand chopped off, and they used to play piano. That could be death to them. Somebody lose their children in an accident or something like that, that could be death to them. So death comes in different variations, depends on perspective. But the perspective that we're talking about is the perspective of civics and law. We're not talking about anything else. We're not talking about out there in the universe, the blackness of, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about the blackness of the womb. We're not talking about the blackness of the earth. We're not talking about the blackness of, every color comes from black. We're not talking about, the high carbon skin content, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about from a law perspective, which law governs all events. So law applies every day, all day. How many ever hours of the day you want to put in the day, it's cool. Law still applies. The science that treats positive law, because there's negative law, right? So the science that treats positive law is called jurisprudence, right? Jurisprudence is a science. Now, according to science, black means death. When you classify yourself as black, this is why Noble Drew Ali told people, you are not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian. Why? Because these names were names given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779, lasted until 1865. This is a new era of time now. Proclaim your nationality. And then you're supposed to proclaim your nationality, not be in the dead status of a slave under the brand black, Negro, colored, etc. That's just what it is. So jurisprudence, the philosophy of law, or the science which treats the principles of positive law and legal relations. The term is wrongly applied to actual systems of law, or to current views of law, or to suggestions for its amendments, but is the name of a science. This science is a formal or analytical rather than a material one. It is the science of actual or positive law. It is wrongly divided into general and particular, or into philosophical and historical. It may therefore be defined as the formal science of positive law. So that's the science that we're talking about, jurisprudence. Well, in the science of, we're not talking about that science. We're talking about jurisprudence. That's it. So black, according to science, means death. Now, from a law perspective, death doesn't mean in the coffin, cremated or whatever. From a law perspective, forget about all the other stuff. Law only. That's all we're dealing with. Law. Civics. That's all. We're not talking about anything else right now. Black as an identity makes you dead in law. Black as an identity, Negro as an identity. Now, let's take away the brands and let's say Egyptian. If you're in America and you classify yourself as Egyptian, you're civilly dead. Because this is not Egypt. If you're in America and you classify yourself as Indian, you're civilly dead. Because this is not India. Someone who comes here would be Egyptian. Now they're over here. American. And that's how it goes with no matter where they go. Once they come to the Americas from somewhere else, they're hyphenated American. Black News 102 said that the only name for the black man in America is African American. Right? This is Black News 102. If that's the case, clearly these people are keeping you in slavery, because somebody from the Congo doesn't come here and get called African American. Somebody from Ghana doesn't come here and get called African American. So why is it that this term only applies to these individuals? Because ever since the 1900s, we've been stateless people. Noble Drew Ali came, gave us our nationality. But we don't want nationality? All right. We'll just call you whatever we want to call you. And now we have about 500 names with 500 banners that people call flags, and people say that's who they are, when that's a fraud. How we know it's a fraud? Because it makes them civilly dead, because they're in America. So if you're in America, either you're from a European nation or you're part of the indigenous people from America. And everybody else is a visitor, foreigner, immigrant. And the people who are classified as Negro, black, colored people were never told about Noble Drew Ali. Who told them that they're not black? Because all the leaders of every single organization, group, or whatever knew about Noble Drew Ali, met him. If Garvey met Noble Drew Ali, then many people met him. If Elijah Muhammad, who people know, knew Noble Drew Ali, many people who we don't even hear people talk about had to have met the Prophet. Because he came to get you out the dead status that these people try and keep you in, telling you that you're African American and they're supposed to be your spokesman for the conscious community. Jesse Jackson made that up. We know that he's down with the assassination plot. And you tell me that they're not working for the other side? You take them people serious? With your livelihood? This is life we're talking about. So civilly dead is the status of people who do not have nationalities, which the only people really on the place that takes that position is Negro, black, colored people in America. Nowhere else do people play like they don't have a nationality or they don't want one or they don't know what it is. Only our people. People classified as Negro, black, colored people. The only people that don't know what nationality is when you bring it up to them. Everybody else knows, but they don't know. They're black. They're adjectives and continents. Nobody else is that, but they're that. That mentality, that incompetence is civilly dead. Civilly dead is, in law, civiliter mortuus. Civiliter mortuus. Mortuus. Civilly dead. Dead in the view of the law. The condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. So the science that says dead is law is jurisprudence. Black being dead in law is civiliter mortuus, which means civilly dead, dead in the view of the law, the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. So when people who are dead in law say that they have a spokesman that's going to speak on their behalf and they want civil rights, not human rights, like El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz told them, human rights. But they don't want to listen to him. They want to call him Malcolm X, denationalize him so they can use him in their black game. When the black game is dead in law. He knew that. That's why he stopped calling himself Malcolm X. And he started calling himself Malik El-Shabazz or Omo Ali. Because he's not tying himself to this foreign corporate European corporation. And he knew that Negro was tied to necro, which is death. So if Negro means black and Negro means dead, then why would black mean something different? Or black means life all of a sudden? No, black means dead. When used as identity. We're not talking about using black in the universe perspective. We're not talking about using black for the dirt where the plants grow out of the blackness of. We're not talking about that black. We're talking about classifying that on yourself as that's what you are. As soon as you do that, you put yourself in the civilly dead status. So of course, you're going to prove it. So people know that it's not a game. Now, keep in mind that our people claim that they are citizens and all this stuff. They got rights. Okay? Amendments to the Constitution, Article 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Article 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Constitution. The Constitution says that. So that's the supreme law of the land. Right? That so-called, black power, whoever people say, white man made that up. They never did the research in that to find out that that comes from the great law of the great peace Iroquois people. That they copied everything. They copied the Aboriginal indigenous people who were in this land. They copied their form of government and created government. With help, of course, from the indigenous people who were really us. That used to wear fezzes in America. That's why Masons wear fezzes. because we put them on to the information. So here we are with this contract, holding this European to his obligation, you know, if we want to claim that we're Aboriginal Indigenous. If we don't want to be Aboriginal Indigenous, Moors, then we're classified as dead. Don't even look at this as your defense for anything, because you can't use this to hold the European to law when you're civilly dead in law. So now you're up for grabs to the highest bidder. And in this sense, they're not selling you anymore. They just rape your pockets. That's the slavery. How much money do you give to Asians and whatever? You know, that's the slavery. Where's your fiat going? Who's your slave master that you spend your fiat with? That's the new slavery of Negro, black, colored people. So this contract does not apply to them. So we're just gonna put it on the record, just so people know. Don't play games like you are some revolutionary, right? Miguel Scott told people, revolution will not be televised because it's mental. The revolution would not be televised because it's mental. The revolution is a mental revolution. Oh, but you're not going to listen to him. You're going to talk crap. You're going to make videos, talk crap. Right? Right now, again, everything is fraudulent at this point. Right? We're looking at Dred Scott case. If you know about Dred Scott, you know how they talk on the racist, and the judge was racist, and the jury's racist, and the bailiff's racist, and the fly on the wall's racist. Everybody's racist when Negro, black, colored people go up to the stand or whatever, and they get railroaded. But we're saying again that everything's fraud, but we want to use this as an example to show you that black, according to science, jurisprudence, it means positive law is dead. Black stuff does not stand up in a court of law because it's dead. It has no legs to stand on because it's dead from a law perspective. Even if a living being walks in there, if their status is dead, case is going to the plaintiff every time, because the plaintiff most of the time is some foreign corporation, not even an individual, playing these people again. Because you know we can keep saying it, you know, like we say, when we stand up, as far as Moors are concerned, active Moors, when we stand up, we get documentation so you can see for yourself. There's not no package UCC whatever that got us this far. It's knowing the law, because once you know the law, you are able to recognize what fake law is immediately. And at every opportunity would object when the fake law gets presented. Just because it's fake law, we're objecting. Regardless of, Drew Ali say what? At the utmost of your very life, stand up for your profit and your movement. You gonna stand up? If you're not gonna stand up, don't expect none of these grand whoever's to stand up, because they're selling this out. Either you're gonna do something with your birthright, or it's gonna be sold out. That's where it's at right now. So we tell people, if you talk big that you did this, you did that, and whatever like that, then go get the transcripts so that we can have documentation to show people that when we say We're not strawman. We're not the nom de guerre. We're not, you know what I mean, that fictitious name that's classified as black, Negro, colored, or whatever, and people say, no, Moors, you can't prove that you're black. Well, no, we're not black, right? Who recognizes it? Does it? The European doesn't recognize that. What do you mean European doesn't recognize this? You're watching what the Europeans presenting of Moors, whatever, to know whether something's recognized or not. You're not going to Moors to find out. You're listening to some European. So as Moors, we document. Not some historical stuff that we do right now, we're documenting. So people can have some proof, some evidence to see that this is legit. I don't care what kind of struggle some Negro, cause I used to be Negro black colored. I know what's up with Negro black colored. I know what's up with Negro black colored. But any suffering that I did in that is 50 million times worse than suffering that I got since I've been Moorish American. It's not even the same suffering anymore. So when we say that we're Moors, and that's a separate thing, we would say, okay, here's the transcript. This is the term that we use. Instead of filing a UCC or whatever, this term, X relation. X relation. Kudro Adwa El X relation, strawman name. And then keep in mind that this name right here, though it's Scottish, right? It's from the so-called Black Scots. Because this name in Tobago has like land for acres. So I know what my birthright is. Land for acres. Acres and acres of land. That this name right here, you can just go there and claim that. Why? Because we're Aboriginal indigenous to here, even with European names. That's my history. I ain't come here on some slave shit. So I know that these people are running game when they're trying to tell me about, you know, a European name and slave masters were Europeans. You know, the European slave masters, all slave masters were us. Just do your research. Go Google all these so-called African kings and African whoever apologizing for putting black people in America in slavery. Just go check. Yeah, and the reference came from Brother Alim El Bey, the Moor, standing up to Brother Reggie, Professor Reggie, Dr. Reggie, whatever these guys call themselves, and presenting facts, right? And the fact is that we've been in this land. We've been in this land. That's a fact that we've been here. And as soon as we start playing this game about we are something other than the Aboriginal and Indigenous people of this land, classify yourself as civilly dead. Right? So, no fronting. Say that you know yourself, you better have a nationality, because if you don't have a nationality,
You've been charged with the state offenses of terroristic threats and acts, criminal solicitation, battery, and cruelty to children. On the count of terroristic threats and acts, it is alleged that on or about the 20th day of September 2015, the 7124 South Lake Parkway, apartment H4, it is alleged that you threatened to commit crimes of violence against police officers. Police received information about videos posted by you that were posted on the internet, in which called for terroristic acts against police officers in a Take a Cop's Gun Day movement.
Now, keep in mind that right now she's civilly dead. Dead in the view of the law. At least if there was a Moor up there, active Moor, we're not saying any Moor because you guys like to categorize Moors, right? There's active Moors who people don't know about because they're busy doing whatever they have to do to stand up for their birthright. And then there's all these other Moors that everybody likes to go to and use as a reference for what Moors are. So active Moors, when they go in so-called court for whatever it is, whatever charges, it doesn't even matter whatever charges it is, from tickets to guns, whatever. Ain't no judge getting this far in no case that he's reading off charges. He's not going that far. And if it goes that far, it's under threat, duress, and coercion. And this judge is not going to be relaxed like how this guy's just chilling, laying down some charges on this sister, who's Aboriginal and indigenous to the land, but she classifies as black. Out of her own mouth, she classifies herself as black. Black power and all that. And now is right here as an example. You know what I mean? Only 8,000 views on this. Only 8,000 views. Black people get arrested. Proving that the status is dead. Because she's mute. Just go up. I Empress Sekhmet. Just push that up. The video is going to come up first thing. This is proving that the black power stuff is dead. One, they didn't do nothing to help her. If you check the record of any Moor that's arrested, you ask them, some active Moor tried to assist them. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Go. Any Moor that's in something right now, that's going through some jail or some madhouse or whatever, one, they're not abandoning their birthright. They're still Moors, even though they're locked up or whatever. They're still Moors, right? Not like when people say I Empress Sekhmet on YouTube, but then when you go to court, you got, no X relation, no X relation, right? There's a big difference between them showing the two names applied to me and them showing the two names applied to her, because both her names are a fraud. The name that she picked for herself is a fraud because you can't be no I Empress Sekhmet in America. This is America. This is not Kemet. This is Morocco. If you're in Morocco, then you're under the jurisdiction of Morocco, and you better have a nationality or be a subject of Morocco. In Morocco, why do you think all these guys have to be Masons in order to have high positions in anything in America? Because this is Morocco, and you have to pretend to be Moors if you're going to get anywhere or have a nationality. Clearly, she doesn't have no nationality. So she became victim. But, remember, these are black power people. Revolution. Africa did this and Africa did that to fight the white man and all that. Well, there's the Mau Mau and Jomo Kenyatta. Oh, how come he's wearing a fez with his little African whatever on it? Oh, because he has a nationality. He's Kenyan. He's not a black man. He's not African. He has a nationality. And he has fez on. And that's somebody that black power people rep. He has a fez on though. They're not going to pay no attention to that. They're going to make up every excuse why they can't be Moors, but Jomo Kenyatta, the Mau Mau, Who these people rep? He has a fez on, with his little Kenyan print on it. Playing games. And then you have the you have the agents, the provocateurs, right? Like this guy right now in the chat, Daryl Too Cool, right? Daryl, he's so cool that he has L in his name, which is a Moorish name, right? Danny L, that's a Moorish name. So he has a Moorish name and he's in the chat dissing Moors like a clown. No different than all the other black guys, thinking that, oh yeah, they're conscious or whatever like that. When you're not conscious, you're a goddamn fool. Because you have L in your name. You have L in your name. Just like Mikael, Daniel, Samuel. You have L in there. Which means Moors, but people don't want to be Moors. Universe is, go ask your mom. Why she named you that? Bet you it's going to be some story related to Moors when you go do the research on why they picked that name. But nah, people want to be Moors, right? Want to try disrupt vibes. You can't disrupt vibes. This is Allah's vibes. This is not Cujo's class that's going on. You think there's something to do with me that's going on? You niggas are crazy. The Swahili gamblers. Swahili, huh? The Swahili gamblers. Yeah, they're gamblers. You don't know what they're gambling, so shut the hell up. They could be gambling cows. Stop it. Fez is up. Fez is up. Right? But don't make you a Moor. A Moor is any dark-skinned person, especially African, Negro, slave, nigger, that doesn't want to recognize their own birthright. Right? Playing around. Right? So-called Africans, where y'all come from? These people didn't come from over here. You could just look at their features, they're not from the Americas. Wearing their fezzes. That you don't want to be Moors. You want to be black guys of America. Ancient black Kemetans. When Kemet fell freaking so long ago, you can't even go live in none of them pyramids and whatever temples or whatever that they got in Egypt right now. Yeah, the Arab came and destroyed it. Yeah. No, Arab didn't come destroy nothing. Your gross negligence for the higher force and universal law is why all your stuff fell in Kemet. Don't blame no Arabs. No Arabs destroy nothing in Kemet. Y'all crazy people. Don't want to accept responsibility. Buganda. Kati Kiru of Buganda, 1955 to 1965. Michael, once again, Mikael Kintu. Mikael Kintu. Right? Buganda. You know these people aren't from the Americas. But they got fezzes though. Where's his fez? Oh, his fez is right there. He's so top. Somebody has to hold his fez. That's his fez right there. Somebody's holding his fez. The fez is so sacred to him, he's not even wearing the fez. Your fez is so sacred, he's not even putting the fez on. Buganda. These are the blackest of the blackest people. They don't say that they're black though. They got fezzes, which means they know about their birthright. They know about their birthright. You don't want to be Moors because you heard some conscious mental wrestler talk some crap about Moors? You crazy? Uganda. You just know that these aren't people from the Americas. Uganda. Again, blackest of the blackest people. People that are blue, purple, and all that. But they're not playing no games about they're some adjective. Look at the culture. Forget what they call themselves. They're wearing fezzes. What the hell are you talking about? You know fezzes are tied to Moors. You know fezzes are tied to Morocco. Solely. Everybody knows that. Say fez, automatically in their head, Morocco or Freemasons. That's the only way that it goes. And then splinter from there. And then you go to Uganda, they got fezzes. You go to Buganda, they got fezzes. You go to Nigeria, they got fezzes. You go to Ghana, they got fezzes. All these places where these people say that they come from, they got fezzes on. Well, they don't call themselves Moors, so they're not Moors. But they got fezzes. What y'all say, the Moors stole fezzes from the Turks. The Moors stole fezzes from the Masons. So you know what fezzes are? Oh, but you're convenient. You're a convenient stupidity. You're stupid when you want to be stupid. Right? Even in Europe, dressing up like Moors. And then the dumb Negroes are going to talk about blackface. Oh, yeah, blackface. That's racist. Yeah, that's racist because you're not Moors. Because you want to be black guys. So you're saying this is racist. When this is Europeans having a parade wearing your national, religious, whatever, parading up and down the street. Europeans. Wearing fezzes and all that. Oh, but right. That's all you gotta get right. You get the Dr. Evil. So what you're gonna do, we already told you, check out the Africans apologizing for slavery. Ask yourself, why they? If the conscious mental wrestling crew is saying that Moors enslaved everybody, how come Africans are the ones apologizing for it? So same Africans that they say were the kings that, European did whatever. No, African kings, sorry, you know what I mean? We didn't know that they were going to do that to you guys, so, you know what I mean? We just want to apologize. Go check the record. Why is the African kings or whatever apologizing to the black people for putting them in slavery? Oh, but the Moors are the bad ones. The Moors are the ones that sold everybody out. Let's not be Moors. Let's be Africans. Right? Clearly, people are incompetent. Clearly. Clearly. You're also going to do this is comparison research, right? So you're going to Google Africans, and then in Google Images, you just put Africans and then see what comes up, right? And then you're going to do African Moors and then see what comes up in the images, just to see what comes up. Because, people saying that there's a difference, right? Then some people are saying it's the same people. You're going to check Arabs and then Arab Moors, and see what comes up under each. Arab and Arab Moors. See what type of pictures come up. And keep scrolling, you know what I mean? Don't be shy to scroll. You won't get lost, don't worry. And you're also going to do Asians. And Asian Moors. See what comes up. And some interesting stuff's going to come up. And if you have any common sense, you'll realize that you've been played by everybody who ever called yourself your leader. Because they were supposed to tell you that you're Moors, and they didn't. They decided to tell you that you're all this other stuff. We had put this on the record before. We want to put this on the record again. Just so that people don't get confused. Right? Just so that people don't get confused. Because there's no There's no this. This is a bigger landmass connected to something else. Like there's no just this sitting anywhere on the planet. This is connected to something else. And that's why they can put this picture with this, because competent people know that this, the true and divine name of this is Africa. No, it's not. The true and divine name of this is Amexem. But the world was once known as, and this was once known as Amexem. So you can't call this anything other than what it is. That's why someone that we hold very dear came out and told us, did we hear? Did we listen? Or we playing the game that we don't hear certain stuff. We only hear what we want to hear, but we don't hear what we're supposed to hear.
You just want to claim a spot for the whole thing. Africa is not our home. Let me let that hang in the atmosphere for a while. That's right. I said at this gathering of the masters, Africa is not your home. It's not our home. But I know my roots. And I ain't Kunta Kinte, but I know my roots.
They honor him, you know. Everybody loves Khalid. Oh, we love Khalid Muhammad so much, you know, let's have conversations around the, you know what I mean, sponsored breakfast, talk about Khalid Muhammad. But you say he's not African. You guys forgot that part? Africa's, if Africa's not your home, then you're not African. If Africa's not your home, then that means you're not African. Oh yeah, and don't forget that was Khalid Muhammad, who you honor and love so much. But you sell out Negroes, so-called conscious community, you know, tell the people that they're black people. They just go to Africa to see some freaking abandoned pyramids. It's not even a tourist site.
I'm a little confused about something. Your name, Oludara.
Yeah.
You don't seem, that seem like an African name. You don't seem African.
You know why I don't seem African?
Why?
Because I'm American. You know why I don't seem African?
Why?
No.
Because I'm
you
American.
just
You know why I don't seem African?
Why?
Because I'm
you want to
American.
really stress the
You know
point.
why I don't seem African?
Why?
Because I'm American.
We want to stress the point. Okay? We want to stress the point that everybody knows. It's not a secret. Who's brave enough to tell? Oh, Oludara, Nas' dad. You guys know Nas, you know Nas, MC guy. Everybody puts on their top 5 and all that stuff. Okay, his dad. His dad. You think his dad doesn't know what he's talking about? Or you think that he's some crazy old man, you know what I mean? Just flapping his gums for a camera.
Now, I'm a little confused about something. Your name, Oludara.
Yeah.
You don't seem, that seem like an African name. You don't seem African.
You know why I don't seem African?
Why?
Because I'm American.
Listen, man. If Nas' dad is telling you that he's not African, his name's Oludara. And man said that ain't no African. That's American. People playing you. He were playing you out your birthright. Keep thinking that this is some game. Keep thinking that this is some, oh yeah, fezzes and Allah and you don't want to be part of this or whatever. You will be going down with this shit. You don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to put nothing on you, but some of y'all going down with this shit. Forget it. That's just what it's gonna be. I mean, that's just what it's gonna be. Like it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality. Because our people don't want to learn. Our people don't want to learn. They want to play games and listen to stupid people.
Y'all can't come in here.
I'm Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry's a country and western singer.
Is he? You know who else he is? He's me.
Says he's Chuck Berry.
Let me see some ID. All right then. ID. This license says you're Indian. That pinup make you look like a white man. What the hell are you?
Well, I'm a musician, and my name is Chuck Berry. And I can be whatever you need me to be to play in your fine establishment this evening.
Once again, black according to science means death. Right? Now, we all know Chuck Berry. Okay? He had a license that said he was Indian. But he looks like a quote-unquote black man. Oh, well, that means he's black Indian. Oh, no, that means he's more. That means he's Aboriginal indigenous to the Americas, and he's tied to this. The Great Seal. This side of the hemisphere. People who were here before Europeans came over here. People who were here that didn't come from Africa or Asia. No crossing Bering Straits and all that stuff. They're already here, been here. But what do you say? Well, since he's Indian, I'll denationalize myself in order for me to play at your fine establishment. And Europeans still said, you're not playing here. And he said, cool, I'm out. Why? Because why would I play at your establishment? Why would I play at your establishment if you're not gonna accept my status? Because Indian's a dead status. And even when he stooped to the level of a dead status, Europeans still didn't let him do whatever. But this is the difference. We're not saying that we're Indian. We're eliminating any opportunity for them to classify us as anything. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali told us that our nationality is Moorish American. Yeah, he made up a nationality for these unclassified people or these misclassified people in the Americas that thought that they were slaves that came over here from a slave ship, when they're Aboriginal and indigenous to this landmass. Aboriginal and indigenous to the Americas. So, Mr. Mr. Nobleman, because Berry means nobleman. Got that from one of the Moors, one of the active Moors in the chat. Just so you know, Chuck Berry, Chuck was a nobleman. And the noblemen are Moors. Just go check. The Wiserhood, the Masons that know something that you don't know, they bring you in to the secret order, but everything is Arabic, but it's Europeans in there. And when you trace Arabic back, it goes back to dark-skinned people, not some pale people. Oh yeah, don't forget Morgan Freeman also told you that he's not African. Told you he's not African. But, you know. We want to put up some questions because we got the question. We wanted to put it on the record. Told the brother to send your question because I'm not going back and forth on some thread where there could be influence in you getting what I'm telling you. So the question was, what are the benefits of becoming a Moor? Also, what can becoming a Moor do for the people of the black community? Now, we want to put some things in perspective. One thing is that if you are looking at becoming a Moor, Noble Drew Ali said that you are what your foremothers and forefathers were without doubt or contradiction. So you can't become what you are. That's the first thing. So being that you're a Moor, you didn't know that you're a Moor, so you thought that you're becoming something when that's not what it is. You're a Moor. Nobody just told you that you're a Moor. Everything that you've been doing in your life, you're doing it as a Moor, under the guise of a black guy or African or whatever you called yourself. But the reality is that you're a Moor. So everything that you did in your life applies to you being a Moor. So if that's the case, the real question is, you tell me what benefit you got being a Moor, because you're not black, you're not Negro, you're not colored, you're not African American. Those were slave brands applied to you that don't apply to you, so you're not that. So if you call a cup a bowl for 10 years, does that mean cups now a bowl? Or it's going to be a cup still, right? Because it's always been a cup. You always been a Moor, bro. And nobody told you that you're a Moor. You're such a Moor that you called yourself, just like the guy in the chat talking crap about Moors when he has L in his name. Your name is Blacksmith on your whatever. The blacksmiths were the ones that the Europeans would go to or whatever to go get their weapons made and go get their this made and go get their that made. That's why RZA made the movie. And he was the blacksmith. He was the Moor. Because they know that martial arts is our stuff. That's why they jacked the whole Wu-Tang thing and all that. To take back the stuff. because it's really us. So the benefit of being a Moor, ask Yassine Bey what the benefit is to being a Moor, because he was Negro black colored. He was Negro black colored, right? And he's still traveling the world and all that stuff. But he's telling people, don't call me Mos Def. Call me Yassine Bey. Because he's a Moor. And then on the other hand, you never asked, what's the benefit of being black? You never asked what's the benefit of being colored. You never asked what's the benefit of being African American, nigger, whatever. We just accepted all those stuff. But then now it's time to be Moors. You want to know what benefit you're going to get. What does it benefit to have that? Why should I call myself Moor instead of black? You didn't care when you called yourself black. Why you should call yourself black? But these are the games that they play with our people. Trying to divert their attention away from their nationality and their birthright. Because the second part of your question, what can becoming a Moor do for the people in the black community? Ain't no people in nothing called a black community. That's a ward. What's a ward? Let's just see what a ward is. The mayor is the warden of the ward. And we're not talking about prisons. It's unfortunate that our people have stooped to being so far away from what the truth is. All because they had an individual that was sent to them from amongst them, the Aboriginal indigenous people. Noble Drew Ali was a Cherokee. He looked like us, but he was a Cherokee. He didn't look like no Red Indian or whatever. And then he came and told us that, we're Cherokee. We're not black people. We didn't come here on slave ships. We're Cherokee. And now you're asking, what's the benefit? When knowing thyself is the benefit. Because like Professor James Smalls, when they had the breakfast around the table and stuff like that, and he was telling them about how he was a Mason and all that. How come Seti wasn't talking all that Masonic crap that he was pulling on Alim? He came out and said he was a Mason, put his sons in it and all that. Oh, all of a sudden it's cool to be Masons now because, their boy, their elder, their master teacher. Oh, so your master teacher could be a Mason, which means he would have to know about Moorish history if he was a Mason. He would have had to have a fez just like this if he was a Mason. Not only that, when he used to go all around the world, his security was from some Islamic people. Oh, but they're gonna put all that to the side, honor their professor, their master teacher. But yeah, well, he was a Mason. Weren't they dissing this because it came from a Mason? Aquarian Gospel and the Masons book and all that stuff. Noble Drew Ali's fault. Then Noble Drew Ali does this. Then that means that he's a Mason. But the professor that you guys sat around having breakfast with, he was a Mason. And nobody wasn't talking about slap fezzes off his head and stuff like that. Convenient. Very convenient. It's real convenient that for that whole time they had a European waitress They ate from the cracker? What do you mean they ate from the cracker? How they eat from? There's no way that they ate from the beast. The devil? The devil was actually serving their table, and they didn't tell her, "Get out of here. We need a sister." Convenient. What's the benefit to being a Moor? Ask Mariah Carey. What's the benefit to being a Moor? Why she named one of her children Morocco? No, not because she visited there. No. What's the benefit? Being a Moor. Why you ask Dr. Ben? Why you go to his gravesite and go ask him what's the benefit to being a Moor? Because he went to a Moorish university to get his doctorate. Why you go ask him what the benefit is to being a Moor? See what answer you get. Because this is not some BS like what people been telling you follow. This is your birthright that you never knew about, that people knew about, they didn't tell you about your own stuff. You don't think that that's a problem? It's an issue? Do you really think that people call themselves this color when they look like this is not incompetence? That their community is people made up of this color, but everybody looks like this, and this is different. Civilly dead. Dead in the view of the law. Because remember, law applies everywhere. So if you're talking about community, law applies there. Law applies. And there's no such thing as black community. There's no such thing like that. Sudanese have a Sudanese community. Hindus have a Hindu community. Like, what is it that we're missing? What are we not getting? Thinking that this is about having some hat. This is not about. This is about our birthright. We are the most victimized people on earth. Jews will tell you our stuff was worse than their stuff if you have a nationality. If you have a nationality, Jews will tell you that what they did to you in America, that ain't nothing compared to what. Because what we got, cakewalk. Stealing your land. They don't even bring up ships. Stealing your land and killing your women and Jews. I know Jews. I work at a school board. They don't have no problem talking about real stuff to real people. No national does. They only get funny and fidgety around Negroes, black people, conscious black power people, who they can't trust. Because they classify themselves as black. Which Brother Abdullah El Talib Mozi taught the Moors that the Europeans made up all those classifications of black, brown people, red people. So if you're going to follow that, that means you're following the European. But that's supposed to be the enemy, so why are you following him? Why don't you just follow what Moors are saying? It's taking what Noble Drew Ali said, that's all. Taking what Noble Drew Ali said. Because what he said is important. He said that we're not Negro, black, colored people. Because those are slave brands. Stop being the slave brand and certain people will stop treating you like a slave. Real simple. But we want to be property. We want to classify ourselves as things that we're not. Again, Yasin Bey, who used to be most deaf, is telling people, do not call me most deaf, call me Yasin Bey. He has to see a benefit in that to say that like that. Has to. Mariah Carey has to see a benefit in Moorish history to name one of her children Morocco. Has to. There has to be a benefit. Martin Lawrence had to see a benefit to Moorish history to be in a movie where they're calling him a Moor throughout the whole movie. He had to see a benefit in it, or he wouldn't play the part. Why play the part? If he doesn't like being called a Moor, why would he play the part? Oh, just for the money. I mean, come on now. The only way that we will be honored, respected, is when we go back to our ancient foremothers and forefathers, divine and national principles, because they're real, they're legit. It's not just, you know what I mean? Look at Pilar Elde, Deion Sanders' ex-wife. Everybody knows Deion Sanders. She's still a Moor. Going through all the stuff that she's going through with him or whatever like that, she's still a Moor. There has to be a benefit that she didn't give up. She didn't start as a Moor. She was like everybody else, you know, classify me as whatever. And then realize that, hold on a second, you know what I mean? Status. My status determines my condition. What I call myself determines how people are going to look at me. So why would I call myself something that means civilly dead? And then expect people to look at me with life. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up because we don't study. Right? You can't say that I'm still black, because find me a black guy, right? Right? Brother, you know what I meant. Benefit being black. Our people are at the bottom in America because you're black. Stop calling yourself black, you won't be at the bottom. Being a Moor isn't going to change that because you are still black. Black can be defined as an African American community in America. There's no such thing as African American. That's a fraud. There's no such thing as African American. That came about by Jesse Jackson in the 60s or whatever. That's what you're tying yourself back to the 60s, that's it? And you're saying you're ancient people? But you're only going to call yourself from the 1960s. Use your logic, crazy man. Go back to your senses. How are you going to say you're ancient people, you're the founders of civilization, when you're calling yourself something that goes back to 1960s? And that's it. Before 1960s, that wasn't even being used as an identity for somebody. And then go through all the names that we call ourselves. Black, Negro, colored, African this, Trinidadian, Jamaican, whatever like that. All those things go back to a certain point, which isn't ancient. 60s is not ancient. So if you're telling me that you're Kemetic, Cushite, Hebrew, whatever, but, you know, we're African American, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Right? Black people, if I was looked at as black or any Moors, if I was looked at as black, there's no way I would be able to go into a store show identification that says I'm a Moor, and get taxes off on purchases. Black guys can't do this. Find me a black guy that can go to a store, show identification with a tax number, and get taxes off. Show me a black guy that can do this. Show me a black guy that can hold up a receipt and say, look, as a black guy, here's my receipt as a black man in America where I'm tax exempt. Black guys don't do that. Black guys not gonna go to court. Black guys not gonna go to court and have X relation on the court document. Black guy's not gonna go to court, okay, and in his comedic whatever fraud that he wants to call himself, whatever national fraud that he wants to say that he is, that he can't prove because he has no identification, he's not going to show you transcripts where throughout the whole thing they're calling them by the name that they use on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, right? You're not going to see that in the transcript, right? How come it's saying Kudro L in here, right? In the document it's saying Kudro L, but on the front it's versus this name. How come Kudro L's not here? How come they didn't put Kudro L on the versus part? How come? They just conveniently typed up all these pages with Kudro L, but then on the cover page they didn't change that to Kudro L. They put something else. And just so you know this is their stuff. Right, there it is, case file number. Call them up. You can go get the case. There it is. There's the number, so you can go check. Since we don't like to show facts, there's the court that it happened at. The fraudulent court of the province under the Provincial Offences Act, which is not law, right? And then this says Her Majesty. And then some people's own says R, which is Regina, which is Her Majesty before Her Majesty. But you gotta play games. You gotta play games. You're not Moors. You want to be Moors? Hey, don't be Moors then. Continue to suffer. Continue to suffer. And you're full of crap, Dariel. Because if you didn't know, so you get an update. The children are pretty much running away from so-called father's house every goddamn week. Running away from the house. Yeah, because they're terrified of their own father. Yeah, right now, running away from the house. Just so you know. You know, that the children are scared of their mom. Yeah, sure. Talking shit. Agent provocateur. You're here to learn Islam to the Moors and all that stuff. You're not here to learn nothing. You're agents. Agents try and try and try, but their own bad planning brings down the sword on their head like old Damocles had. So get it twisted. Please get it twisted. Because people think that this is a joke. That question there, we'll have to send that to the party it's addressed to. wanted to also wanted to check this one, just so you know, you could know that it's real. I have no reason to play games.
Does anybody know this gentleman, Mateo Kirkow? Raise your hand if you know Mateo Kirkow. Mateo Kirkow, and by the way, you're not strange. I've done this presentation all over the country. Nobody has ever heard of Mateo Kirkow. I will explain to you why this is profound. Mateo Kirkow was a Marxist dictator of a country in Africa called Dahomey.
Oh, to keep in mind, Marxist dictator. Remember Professor James Small when they were around the table, you know what I mean? And he was talking about John Henry Clark, and he was saying, you know, in the early days, you know, John Henry Clark was a Marxist. You know, just to put that out there. So just so you know how deep, you know, Professor went at the breakfast table where there's stuff going over people's head, they don't even know what's going on. Because they're caught up in the allure of the man and missing the message. And he gave him keys that these Negroes.
In about 1979, 1980, he left that post, but in the early 1990s, he converted to Christianity, and in 1996, he was democratically elected president of the new country. They renamed the country called Benin, Africa. There's Benin, Africa. Now, in 1999, Mateo Kirkow, as president of Benin, Africa, came to the United States of America to do three things. The first thing is to apologize. The second is to seek forgiveness. And the third thing is to seek reconciliation for his country's participation in the African slave trade. Did anybody hear about that? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the head of state of an African nation who came to the United States of America to apologize for his country's export of 3 million of their own people in the African slave trade.
Oh, 3 million of their own people. Okay, so hold on. So this dictator or whatever in Benin came out and said sorry for being involved in the slave trade. I thought Moors. Benin, what's Benin have to do with Moors? African country, huh? Moors sold people into slavery? Really? Keep make these people diss your birthright. Selling you off to the highest bidder.
And nobody in the United States of America has heard about it. How could that be? I'll make it even more profound. In 2003, he sent a delegation to tour the United States, churches and schools, to do the exact same thing, to apologize, seek forgiveness, and reconciliation for his country's participation in the African slave trade. This is what they said. In the name of the government of the people of Benin, on behalf of President Mateo Kirkow, I say to you all, we are sorry. We are deeply, deeply sorry. President Kirkow knows the damage on our side that came from slavery. He knows how this robbed our own society at home, how it turned us against each other, and we believe it is easy to say that those other people did it, but we also believe that if we were not helping them, if we did not assist them, if we did not play a role in it, it would not have happened. Do you think this might have some impact on race relations in the United States of America? Ladies and gentlemen, slavery, race, racism, white guilt, political correctness has never been an issue of black versus white. It has always been an issue of good versus evil. It has.
Oh, so that means there's no such thing as black and white. Black and white is irrelevant as far as racist and all that stuff is concerned, because really it's not about skin color. It's about good versus evil. Good versus evil. And it's evil what these people did. and telling you that you're not Moors, you're Africans, making you party to your own enslavement. You sold yourself into slavery is what you're saying when you say you're a slave. Think about this, right? The world knows that Africans sold Africans to the European, right? Blacks in America think that European and Moors sold them. Right? When the reality is they sold themselves into slavery. They sold themselves into slavery. How is it that these people sold their self into slavery and they're blaming somebody for it? Isn't that hypocrisy? Yeah, that's hypocrisy. And you play those hypocrisy games, who knows what you're going to get? Because, hypocrites aren't respected. Right? Hypocrites aren't respected. You want to be a hypocrite? You just go find some corner and go be a hypocrite over there with that nonsense. Selling people out that they're African. Selling people out. Think black doesn't mean death, huh? Think black doesn't mean you have nothing. Don't think I forgot. Don't think I forgot. Islam, noble question. I've been exercising my indigenous status as a Moor when it came to not paying sales tax. Right? Only active Moors do this type of activity. You're not going to hear from this. You're not going to hear about this from the so-called House of Consciousness Moors. You're not going to hear this from them because they're not active. They're entertainment Moors. Right? Those are just Moors that are used as a prop to get Moors to watch crap instead of studying. So exercising his indigenous status as a Moor when it comes to not paying taxes. Some places ask for a document from either the state or an IRS exempt form to show proof of our claim. So, some places ask for a document from either the state. All right. Who's the state? And if they're saying that the state is some foreign private European corporation, then they're trying to violate your birthright. Now, if the state is Morocco, then you have a right to create your document to give places that are asking about something from the state to prove that you got taxes off. And then stuff that we would use is, constitutional cases, you know what I mean? Since they're asking for something from the IRS, you can put something in there showing that the IRS is a fraud, that they're a foreign entity to the government. Many governors have spoken on that, and it's not even no secret. Right? And then for the second part, if they want some IRS form to show proof of claim, clearly they work with the democracy. They're colonists and inquisitionists, and I would suggest not doing any business with them. No patronage. Leave the stuff on the counter. As soon as they start asking for IRS forms, just leave the stuff on the counter and go about your business. Because that's a democracy agent. As soon as they say that they want IRS forms. Right? Now, If you want to do your research on IRS forms, I'm sure they have the form. Aboriginal, Indigenous, Native, whatever form for tax exempt, whatever. You know what I mean? And, you know, if you want, you have right to contract in your own land. You know how to reserve your rights on a contract, you know, all rights reserved, you know, free national name, whatever like that. And then give them their little form that they want. You know, and then you have no taxes. You know, oh, benefit of being a Moor. How about not pay taxes? There's a benefit. Because, you know, taxes kill us. You know, well, he said it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work at one place. He didn't tell you about all the places where it worked. And trust me, you know, I know the brother. There's places where it worked. You know, that's just what it is. Right? Did CMB receive some damn form from the U.S. corporation regarding 222141? If so, what organizational name does it fall under? I've always used MSTA. Is this correct? That number, AAA 222141, applies to anybody with the knowledge. Right? It applies to anyone with the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, you can use or exercise. Now, one thing we want to just get on there, since we're talking about our good brother CMB, we want to also put this out at one more time, just so we can know what was done. Right? So additional certificate of registration of claim to copyright. There's the seal from the so-called jurisdiction, corporate jurisdiction. You know, let's see how much they know. Right. Copy of application AA 209316. Copyright claimant or claimants: Charles Mosley Bay. Title of work: Clock of Destiny. Name: Charles Mosley Bay. 2633 East 51st Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Moorish American. Birth 1897. Masonry, Astrology and History and Geography. Clock of Destiny. Signed by CM Bay. April 3rd, 1952. 2 copies received January 18th, 52, March 12th, 52. Fee received $4, blah, blah. So there's a certificate. So this is one certificate. Right? The certificate for Clock of Destiny. Right? So that's one. So there's that. Additional certificate. Right? There's the seal. Corporate whoever's. Copy of application AA 77869. And this is just stuff from the, you know, copyright office. You know, when you have a right national, you can make requests, and requests get answered because you're national. Especially if you're a national with the same name, appellation, title, whatever, as the person you're inquiring about. Obviously, you're, you know. Charles Mosley Bay, 2633 East 51st Street, Cleveland, Ohio. Clock of Destiny. Application and affidavit, March 25th, 1948. 2 copies of the book, December 5th, 1947, February 24th, 1948. Then affidavit between the printing company. Affidavit between the printing company, right, and CMB. There's a signature right there, same one that's in the book. Just Clock of Destiny books. Okay. And then the one that you're questioning about, AA222141, copy of application. Charles Mosley Bay, Clock of Destiny, Moorish identification card with the Zodiac Constitution. September 10th, 1952. 2 copies received. June 3rd, 1952. And Charles Mosley Bay, Clock of Destiny, Moorish American nationality card. And Zodiac Constitution. So it's official. It's truly official. That's why, the Moor has used it and has gotten stuff off to be inspired to say, let me go to another place and use it. And you got stopped one time. Oh well, they don't recognize birthright. They're probably a corporation, so we don't need to go to them anyways. Let's find somebody de jure and go spend our little fiat with them. And then also too, keep in mind, Moors, that if you're talking about, you're doing a purchase and then it's, 3 cents tax or something like that, kill yourself. Just pay the 3 cents tax. Like, it's 3 cents, bro. Like, come on, sis. You don't have to fight it like that. It's 3 cents. Don't go overboard. Right? Don't get too hyped. I mean, you want to really do this with big purchases. Testimonial. More and more as I stand on and exercise my birthright, I realize what Prophet Noble Drew Ali meant by saying, "You are rich, my children." I told one brother at a convenience store that was from Hindustan that I don't pay sales taxes. He said that his register didn't allow him to take off tax on items. I was persistent. He kept looking at my ID and asking, "What is this?" I told him that I am Aboriginal to this land. He said, "Okay, I will give you a discount in lieu of what the taxes would be since my register can't do it." I thanked him for honoring my status and got the hell out of there. Nationality does work when you work on it. Right? And that's Brother Tefania L., who, by the way, is Hebrew Israelite, that came into the fold of information, realized Noble Drew Ali. He still knows who Yahweh is. He still knows who, Abraham and the crew, He ain't throwing us in a way. But he got a nationality card. But he's Hebrew, though. But he got a nationality card, and he knows what's up. He's Hebrew, though. Oh, just like, Rabbi Wentworth, James Small, and then they were sitting around the table eating the breakfast, and the European was bringing their food for them, and they weren't talking about kill crackers, get her out of here and all that, right? And then they ate from the European, brought their food for them, and they ate food, and then he was talking about, the circle of people around Malcolm X or whatever like that, and, Rabbi Wentworth, who was a rabbi, which means he was a head, and then he was head of the Moorish Zionist Jews, that he never mentioned them, but he mentioned Rabbi Wentworth because, if you're in the conscious community, you should know who these people are, because you're supposed to be conscious. So he's talking about the Moorish Jewish rabbi with the Moor haters. Talk about Dr. Ben, who had his doctorate, you know what I mean? And you know, he said Dr. Ben is the pinnacle of this, and we were just following his lead because he said Kemet, so we said Kemet. And why did he do that? Oh, to draw people to Kemet so that he can bring them to Moorish history. Because he knew how dumbfounded they were with the legacy of their ancient foremothers and forefathers that they're going to get lost. Don't forget, Dr. Ben didn't get a doctorate in African history. Not in chematology. Not in Hebrew Israeliteology. Moorish history. Why would Dr. Ben, the esteemed scholar, the scholar that everybody in the conscious community is going to say, yes, we honor him. He has a doctorate in Moorish history. And you're dissing Moors? And don't expect me to think that you're a hypocrite or some type of agent or something like that? You're dissing Moors. Like, how are you dissing Moors when... Interesting. Interesting. Question. Is it okay to reserve your rights on a driver's license instrument before finalizing the nationalization process? The driver's instrument expires in November and I don't think I'll be able to nationalize in time. If it is safe, is there anything that I need to know or be prepared for? Well, be prepared for them maybe trying to stop you from reserving your rights because, you know, Moors have been doing this activity, telling people, get down with this, get down with this, get down with this. We got stamps for sale. We got, you know what I mean? We're teaching about whatever like that, you know, Europeans tightening, you know, the noose around Negroes to make it harder for them to get out of being Negroes. Because, you know what I mean? Europeans not waiting for you to wake up and proclaim your nationality. So, you know what I mean? You might get some fights. But, you know, don't be deterred. Know that Moors put in work. That's why you're getting fights. You're not getting fights because Europeans mad that, you know what I mean, you figured out something. You know what I mean? Europeans mad that you're getting on what Moors been on. Because it's an illusion that they're tightening the noose on us. It ain't a real. Once we wake up and realize that we're in full life. So, coming into in full life, one of the things that you do is anytime you use that name that is on a birth certificate, social, any type of license, marriage certificate, deed, whatever, anytime after you get this information, anytime you're using that name, you reserve your rights. Right, all rights reserved on the paper, all over the paper, wherever you want. Just make sure where you sign has it, and you sign over that. And reserve your rights. Because if you do not know your rights, you don't have any rights. And many of our people, like Sister Isaac you know, claim black power and all that, they don't know their rights. Because if they knew their right, they would exercise their right to a nationality and proclaim one instead of saying they're black. Moors not telling you claim that you're Moors. Just claim a nationality. Claim something that's legitimate. Don't tell me you're a river. Don't tell me you're a language and to expect me to take you seriously. Don't tell me you're adjective. Don't tell me you're a continent and expect me to take you seriously. I'm not going to take you seriously. I'll cuss you out or something like that. I'm going to tell you go suck whatever because you're talking BS. You can't tell me that you're those things. I'm not accepting it. I don't care who accepts it. That's their business if they want to accept that. I'm not accepting your dead status as a reality. If you want to accept dead status, then get treated like dead stuff. And don't get mad. Just take whatever is coming, because that's what you want. Always reserve rights. Because you're not Negro black colored. And you will be classified Negro black colored if you sign anything and don't reserve your rights. And don't check off black. Don't check off black and then reserve your rights. You better check something else. Check other. Check white. Do not check black. I don't care what it's for. Don't check black. And don't leave it blank. Check something. Or check other and put native, indigenous, aboriginal, Moor, something. When you sign, reserve your rights. Whatever name you sign, and I don't care. Make up a signature, reserve your rights. Because the contract makes the law. And they're always going to use the contract against you. Always. That's how they do. They are going to use the contract against you. So if you're going to go get a license or whatever, go right ahead. Because we're in that muck and mire right now. But don't get that without reserving your rights. You better reserve your rights if you get that instrument. Because that's not for you. You're Aboriginal and Indigenous, but you're not there yet. It's only here. So until it's here, and it's only here, then deal with this mundane third dimensional reality. You know what I mean? Don't try to mix the fourth dimension and the third dimension and all that stuff. You're not there yet to do that, to manipulate the ethers. Not there yet. You know what I mean? It's not a diss. You're not there yet. So don't even go there. Right? Don't even go there. Because it's imperative that Moors realize that they're not Negro black colored people. Moors have to realize that they are not Negro black colored people. Because remember, once you're dark skinned, you're Moor. That's not what I say. That's the definition. And we know that once our people, we're talking from experience, right? We showed you receipts, we showed you the certificates with CMB and all that. Talk from experience. Moors have stuff online that they put up there when they went to stores. And I mean, people made them fill out stuff to get a tax exempt card for the store. So they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And Moors have to take the position of listening to what active Moors say. Because active Moors are definitely where you want to be, right? Well, once again, testimonial, right? So, Brother Bokari Battle Bay. Greetings, Moors. I'd like to share a recent experience. This is for all the people, what's the benefit of being a Moor, right? I'd like to share a recent experience. This information is not being shared to feed my ego or to look down my nose at others. I realize these individuals who run these places can cause great harm. Also, this matter is not over. Rather, I'm sharing this so that others may see there is truth in what our Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought. Roughly 2 months ago, I was traveling, not under contract or operating commercially, to visit my son. I was detained by a corporate agent and given a ticket. As a result, I chose not to pay the fines, mailed copies of the following affidavits: cause of action, averment of jurisdiction, quo warranto, and notice of special appearance. Today was the initial appearance, and the following is what transpired. The place is called the El Paso County Combined Court. I was an hour early and was forwarded to a first appearance room, seating well over 50 people, for crimes, infractions, and violations, etc., against municipal codes where people can plead and are subsequently processed based on their guilt or not guilt pleas. Based on a plea, you will be shown a video, then return to your seat. Next, you will be assigned a prosecutor, then receive a fine, points, or some other penalty. After waiting in line, I was called by an elderly clerk who asked my name and why I was there. I informed her I received a traffic violation and was there to address it. She asked my name. I informed her I do not have a name. My appellation is Bakari Battle Bay. She asked, is that the name on the ticket? I stated it was ex-relation and that it was not me, that I am Bakari Battle Bay. She asked me to have a seat and someone would be calling me. Roughly half hour later, she, the same clerk, called the ex-relation name. I came to the counter and stated that I am Bakari Battle Bay, right? Just like brother saying, being persistent, right? And that David Battle was not me. She asked if I was the one that received the ticket. I stated yes. She said, how can you be two people? And I said, ma'am, I have information regarding that name, and based on the honoring of my foremothers and forefathers, my nationality, I've corrected my appellation and sent 3 documents about prior to arriving here today, which explains my position. She stated then, if you're not David Battle or his representation, then you can leave. Note, during this second conversation, they became scornful and attitude and expression, right? Because stuff's supposed to go their way all the time. As soon as stuff stops going their way, they want to get, you know what I mean, highty flighty, like, you know, they're above somebody. Next, I respectfully informed her that this is a corporation and it has the ability to disregard the Republic Constitution of the United States of America, the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, and Declaration of Rights of a Child, all signed by the sitting president, and case law. As well, I have not had the opportunity to address this issue since I was the one who received the bill of attainder. The clerk repeated her prior statement asking if I was David Battle. At that point, I asked if she was the clerk who was authorized to practice law or share her opinion, asking her full name, which she declined. Right? So as soon as you start asking their name or whatever, they start declining. They don't want to give up stuff. At this point, another individual clerk came over and politely excused the other clerk by asking if she would like to speak to a judge, and if so, she would contact him. I stated yes, and a short time later, a very subdued looking individual in a 3-piece suit approached me asking if I'd like to speak with him. I stated yes, and he ushered me to a short distance away from the seating area and asked if I was contesting the matter, and I stated yes. He asked if I'd like to schedule a date with a judge to address it in court, and I stated I was hoping the matter could be resolved today, as I forwarded several documentation prior to arriving. He stating I could address these issues with the judge, and then asked the second clerk to schedule an appointment. Next, I was asked to pick out a date of the 3 and asked to sign the document listed as Advisement of Rights, Plea of Not Guilty, Notice of Further Court Appearance. This document listed the people of the state of Colorado versus David Battle, handwritten. At the bottom of the document, a statement read, I have read the foregoing advisement. I hereby enter a plea of not guilty and request a court trial. At this point, I noted that I have no plea to give and that I'd like to edit the document, asking, do you mind? She said no, and I added XRL David Battle under the signature block of the defendant block. Also, I lined through not guilty, writing no plea above it, adding my signature over the stamp. Also, my stamp was added to the signature block. In closing, I am not certain if all the stares I received were because of my fez or the fact that I was not pleading. Speaking cordially with one of the officers of the court and the second clerk. Whatever the cause, this does not change the fact many of us are harmed, and certainly this matter is not complete. Wholeness and respect and love to the Moors. So, brother had a situation, you know what I mean, and did what he had here, and it had nothing to do with going and paying some fine, like what every black guy just does. And if he fights it, he gets railroaded or whatever like that. But the Moor goes to the court, right? Benefit of being a Moor. goes to the court, speaks to a prosecutor, whoever, speaks to whoever lady brings the judge down. The judge takes him now, gets his appointment, does whatever they do, whatever, blah, blah, setting up, whatever. That's not Negro treatment. It's not Negro treatment. Right? Like, that's not Negro treatment. That's not how it is across the board with anybody who goes and deals with that. Right? So, we want to at least give y'all a 5 minutes or whatever to go, you know, a washroom break, put on the kettle or something like that before we get started for 9:30. So, Islam to all the Moors, peace, love, and hotep. As usual, you know, we'll be getting back on it on Sunday, right here at 1 p.m. We're going to be dealing with our back to basics classes. And yeah, you know what I mean? Going back to basics. So we're going to say Islam to all the Moors, peace to all the Moors that are unconscious of their birthright, that decided to send questions or, you know, tune in today. We will that you were inspired to at least study a little bit. If you want to get some study on, rvbaypublications.com. As well, you know, since you're here with us, you might as well stay all night and join us on Blog Talk Radio at 9:30. Call-in number 347-945-5899. 347-945-5899. blogtalkradio.com/MHHS-eyes wide open. And that's at 9:30. So I want to say Islam to all the Moors, peace, love, and hotep. We already know what's good. So we'll close out. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, peace and love to all the Moors. 9:30, yo. About to do this right now. Islam, Moors, peace and love.